Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Bluefin Design and I'm Nikhil, and we're back with another UX design process video. This time we're going to talk about usability testing. But before moving ahead, if you like my content, if you've been watching my videos, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel as it motivates me to share more such videos. Like this video and share it with your colleagues, classmates, teammates, or anyone that would benefit from this as well. With that being said, let's get started. So in this video, we are going to talk about what is a usability test, why we should do usability tests, what are the different elements of a usability test, what are the different types, and what are the different methods of usability testing. We'll also talk about the process of usability testing. And in the end, I'll share some useful recommendations that I have learned along the way while working on different projects and testing different products. So let's start. A usability test is basically a method of testing the functionality of a product by observing real users use the product as they would normally do without your presence. So the basic goal of a usability test is to reveal the areas of confusion and uncover certain opportunities to improve the overall user experience and get that feedback from your users of what's working, what's not working, so you can go back and improve your product. As they say, the only way to get the design right is to test it. So why we should be doing usability tests in the first place? I mean, we design the product as designers, right? So you know your product and you know what you're making. But when you do usability tests, they are actually performed by real users of the product, the real expected users of who is going to use your product. So they're likely to reveal certain issues that you or your team may have missed because we are too invested in developing the product. So certain benefits of using or taking advantage of usability tests are that you get to validate your prototype, meaning you get to get some real feedback from the actual users who are supposed to use your product. Now that's invaluable, right? You also get to confirm that your product meets the expectations or not. You can identify certain issues which may come up during complex workflows. You may be able to catch those minor errors in certain scenarios that you may have missed while making the workflow. So it's pretty important to know and to cover all these scenarios and leave no stone unturned. So you also get to develop empathy with your users because they will tell you what's working and what's not. Now, when you do usability tests and when you iterate on that feedback what you receive, you are able to provide a better user experience to your users and ultimately drive better user engagement. So let's talk about the different elements of a usability test. There are basically just three different elements. For example, first one is the facilitator. This is the person or a group of people who actually guide the participants through the process. Now, you may have one moderator and then a couple more facilitators in your usability test session. It's recommended to not have more than 3 facilitators, including the moderator. So the moderator is the one who guides the participants through all the tasks that they have to perform. And the other 2 facilitators kind of take notes while the moderator is guiding the session. The next element, of course, is the task at hand. So the tasks can be various activities that the participants are going to perform during the session. They may be to walk themselves through the different workflows that you're testing. For example, a shopping cart process or signing up for a product. Anything that you want to test is basically a task or a scenario. The third element is the participant. They are the realistic users of the product that is being tested. So you have to really take some time to recruit those participants who would represent your real user. Let's talk about the different types of usability tests. Now, depending on what you are testing in the product, you can have two different types of usability tests. The first one is the quantitative, wherein you are expected to collect metrics that describe the user experience. For example, was the user able to successfully complete the task? Or how much time did they take while completing a particular task or a particular workflow? So these are tangible uh, details that you can get from your usability tests. The next type is a qualitative usability test, wherein you collect insights, findings, and small anecdotes about how people use the product. So they are not necessarily tangible as the quantitative information, but you get to have a lot of insightful information from qualitative tests, wherein you are able to judge whether the users are able to use your product with ease or they have struggles with your workflow. So you get certain feedback that you can go back and iterate upon. So, what are the different methods of usability tests? Well, you can actually combine all of the different methods into three categories. The first one is in person, wherein the moderator or your design team kind of meets the tester or the participant in person, which was way common before the pandemic. Let's get real. But so in person testing is basically very formal, and it is live testing wherein you see your participant test your product in front of you, and they obviously are real users. So this requires a very empathetic moderator because it's a live one-on-one conversation. So you really have to connect with the participant and make them feel welcome and comfortable for the test. So you have to remember that the participant is going to test the product. We are not testing the participant. So it's better and important to kind of make the participants feel comfortable. The next method for usability test is a remote method, but it's also a moderated remote method. So it's similar to in-person because it is run by a facilitator who kind of guides the session, and it is performed using most likely a screen sharing application like Zoom or Skype or similar application. But the important point is it's moderated and it's actually run by the facilitator. The third type of usability test method is the remote but unmoderated, wherein you give the certain tools to the participant and they have to kind of test your product in their own time using a remote testing tool or any other similar method. So the next and the last type is basically a guerrilla method wherein you don't really have a plan, but you kind of test your product on passers-by and for example, your colleagues or certain people you may have met on a public environment. So this is very risky because first of all, it does not involve the representative set of users who are using your product, and it obviously has the higher probability of gathering inaccurate information. So, which both of which are highly risky for your product going forward. So, let's say you want to perform usability tests for your product and learn about the feedback from your users. What is the process that you should follow? Well, certainly you need to plan about your usability test. You need to clearly define what you want to test and decide how you want to conduct your test. We just spoke about different methods of usability testing. So you need to first define what your goal are. What do you expect to get out of that test? Even before moving forward, I think the most important question you need to answer is what are you testing? Get specific, very, very specific. The next task is set the user tasks. I mean, you need to be clear because when a participant is with you within a usability session, you need to tell them clearly what they are expected to do. If you don't know yourself, what will the user do, then how do you expect them to use your product? So set user tasks. I'd say don't have more than 5 tasks per participant because it then gets too complex. 3 to 4 tasks is a good number. Make use of the time that you have. So build a conversation with the participant and smoothly guide them through the process. The third task is recruit the testers. This is, I think, as important as the second one, because you need to know who your representative users are and you need to recruit them according to the goal or the expected demographic. So you can do this via certain screening questionnaires or even provide incentives if required. The next and the final one is the execution of that plan. It's the facilitation of that testing. Make sure you make the participant feel comfortable because they are here to test your product for you. So they need to feel comfortable as well. Last but not the least, let's talk about some of my recommendations that I have learned over the years working and designing different products and testing them with the users. The first one I think is we need to let the users or let participants struggle a bit with the product. Let them have their way while using it or while testing it. Do not over moderate, and use pauses and silences in your conversations if required. This, I think, is it goes unnoticed, but is very important. While you're having that conversation, it's also important to use pauses and stop while the user is, or the participant is testing your product. The next one is to ask reverse questions. While the participant is testing a particular or going through a particular workflow, ask them questions like, is this the workflow that they expected? Or if it isn't, then what were they expecting? I think these spontaneous questions from time to time will give you invaluable insights about your workflow and how to improve that workflow. The last one is remember to have a humane conversation because your participants are real users, real humans. So treat them as if they are in front of you if you're in a remote setting, and treat them the way you'd expect them to treat you. So that's all for this video. I think it's very important that you test your products from time to time and you get those feedback and go and iterate on that feedback and continue to improve your product. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. It really motivates me to share more helpful videos with you. Leave a like on this video so I know that you really like this, and share this with your colleagues, with your classmates, with your friends who would benefit from this video. I think testing the products with real users would really benefit all of us as a community. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.